NFL records can sometimes seem so incredible that you'd think they're just fake news. The NFL has a rich history of remarkable records that have been set and broken over the years. While records are meant to be broken, some truly unbelievable ones may stand the test of time. I mean, can you believe Emmitt Smith had a staggering 4,409 rushing attempts in his career? That's like the heart and hustle of every NFL running back packed into one player. Emmitt Smith's years with the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals from 1990 to 2004 were nothing short of legendary. This man carried the football like it was his sole mission. Well, it kind of was. And no one had ever done it quite like him. Back in the 90s, NFL teams relied heavily on running backs, and Smith had an astonishing 4 seasons with at least 365 carries. Can you wrap your head around that? Sure, Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray came close, but they're merely exceptions that prove the rule. For a running back to surpass Smith's running records, they would need to average 300 carries for about 1,250 yards per season for 15 straight years. It's a milestone that seems nearly impossible to reach. Now, when we talk about NFL records, it's not always about touchdowns and glory. Sometimes it's about heart-wrenching losses that leave you wondering, wait, what just happened? Take, for instance, the Buffalo Bills. From 1990 to 1993, they suffered a 4-year streak of Super Bowl losses that would make anyone question their identity. While many argue that winning 4 straight Super Bowls is more likely than losing 4 in a row, the Bills defied all odds. Their Super Bowl performances were like that one friend who consistently picks the wrong restaurant. But you know what? They do have those AFC champion banners to hang proudly, even if they serve as bittersweet reminders of their Super Bowl woes. Jerry Rice, the Grandmaster of Receptions, tore through the NFL record books like a hurricane through a cornfield during his remarkable career spanning from 1985 to 2006. Rice's 197 career touchdown receptions are a staggering 41 scores more than the second-place record held by Randy Moss, and his 208 total touchdowns outshine Emmitt Smith's second-place total of 175. His numerous NFL records stand taller than the goalpost, but none more so than his 22,895 receiving yards. Even in the present day, DeAndre Hopkins, who boasts the most career receiving yards, 11,654, among active players, would need to gain 11,241 more yards to match Rice's monumental achievement. To put that into perspective, for Hopkins to surpass Rice, he'd have to average well north of 1,250 yards per season for the next 9 seasons, at which point he'd be 40 years old. Essentially, Hopkins faces exceedingly long odds, and Jerry Rice's record might well remain unbreakable. Now let's switch gears and step back in time to 1973, when the NFL saw something rarer than a unicorn wearing sunglasses. Fred Dryer, a defensive powerhouse for the Los Angeles Rams, pulled off a feat that defies all odds. Safeties are like the holy grail of scoring plays in football, occurring only once every 14.31 games on average. But Dryer wasn't having any of that statistical drama. He said, "Hold my helmet," and proceeded to not just record 1 but 2 safeties in a single game. First, he sacked Packers QB Scott Hunter in the end zone, making it look like Hunter had just entered the Dryer circle. And then, when Jim Delgado stepped in, Dryer decided, why not give him a spin too? Another safety. 2 safeties in 1 game. It's like catching lightning in a bottle, folks. This record marked the pinnacle of Dryer's 13-year career, and it has remained untouched to this day, making him a standout in NFL history. Let's take a trip even further back in time, all the way to 1932, when ties weren't just a fashion statement. Back then, the NFL didn't do overtime, so if the score was all knotted up at the end of regulation, well, it was ruled a good old draw. The Bears took this to heart, with 6 ties in a single season. And guess what? They kicked things off with a bang. 3 straight ties. These weren't just any ties. They were all scoreless ties, which means no single point scored by either team. By week 4, Bears fans were probably wondering if touchdowns were just a myth. Today, sudden death overtime is in place, but no team has matched the Bears' tie-tastic record with more than 1 tie in a season since 1974. The Bears of 32 were true pioneers, and their record remains as elusive as a touchdown in a game of hide-and-seek. Now let's run it down the gridiron to 2009, the year Tom Brady turned Foxborough into a winter wonderland. The Titans thought they were in for a regular Sunday. but Mother Nature had other plans. The snow started early, and then came the Tom Brady snowslide. In a single quarter, Tom Brady threw an unprecedented 5 touchdown passes in a snow-filled game against the Titans, putting New England up 45-0, and that was just halftime. This record is as unbreakable as trying to sled uphill, as most teams don't even get 6 possessions in a single quarter. It took some grade A incompetence by the Titans for Brady to pull off this remarkable performance. But wait, there's more. Let's talk interceptions. And who better to discuss than the legendary Brett Favre, the ultimate gunslinger QB. He holds the record for the most career passing interceptions with a jaw-dropping 336 picks. Favre was like a quarterback playing catch with the defenders, throwing passes that made even the opponents feel like they were on the same team. He's thrown 59 more interceptions than any player in league history. While the NFL has become more conservative with its passing game in recent years, no quarterback will likely play long enough to approach 336 interceptions. Favre's record is a touchdown out of reach for new quarterbacks trying to make a name for themselves. Now let's shift gears and step back in time to this one more record that deserves a spot in the spotlight, and it involves a quarterback named Jim Hardy and a game in which pass attempts were so rare. September 24th, 1950, a day that could only be described as a quarterback's worst nightmare. Hardy etched his name into the record books with a feat that may never be matched, throwing an astounding 8 interceptions in a single game. On that fateful day, Hardy and his Chicago Cardinals faced off against the formidable Philadelphia Eagles. But what transpired was nothing short of a disaster. The Eagles' defense swooped down upon Hardy like a relentless storm, intercepting his passes with astonishing precision. The final score of 45-7 in favor of the Eagles told the tale of a game that went horribly wrong for the Cardinals, with Hardy's 8 interceptions standing as a stark symbol of their misfortune. This record may forever remain unbroken, as modern NFL quarterbacks are meticulously trained, and defensive schemes have become more sophisticated, making it increasingly unlikely for anyone to match this astonishing feat. It was a crisp fall Sunday in 1990. And the Kansas City Chiefs were squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks on Veterans Day. Now, that day held special meeting for Derrick Thomas. You see, his father served in the Air Force and sadly lost his life during a mission in the Vietnam War. Thomas went into beast mode, relentlessly pursuing Seahawks quarterback Dave Krieg. In a mind-boggling feat, he managed to sack Krieg not once, not twice, but an astonishing 7 times in a single game. It was like he was playing a game of how many times can I put a QB on the ground? What makes Derrick Thomas's record even more remarkable is that no player has ever managed to top 7 sacks in a football game before or after that historic day. The closest anyone has ever come is 6 sacks, achieved by players like Fred Dean, 1983 49ers vs. Saints, Derrick Thomas himself, 1998 Chiefs vs. Raiders, Osi Umenyiora, 2007 Giants vs. Eagles, Adrian Claiborne, 2017 Falcons vs. Cowboys, and most recently, Khalil Mack, in 2023 Raiders vs. Chargers. From the NFL archives that'll have you wondering if these guys ever heard of break time. Picture this, 1971, Miami Dolphins versus Kansas City Chiefs. They weren't just playing football, they were testing the limits of human endurance. In the AFC divisional round, these Warriors clashed for a mind-boggling 82 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah, you heard that right. Double overtime, 5.5 15-minute periods. Can you imagine the snack bar bills? Now in today's NFL, we've got a kinder, gentler overtime with just 10 minutes on the clock. If it's still tied, sudden death swoops in a little quicker. Back in '71 though, they were basically playing until someone begged for mercy. That's like one hell of an unbreakable NFL record. And there you have it, folks, a glimpse into some of the NFL's unbreakable records from over the years. Which one tickled your fancy the most? Share your thoughts and favorites in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more incredible NFL moments.